Councilwoman Lena Mathis, Councilman Jarrett Waite, Councilman Denny Drake, and we're expecting Councilman Goober to join us. Want to go ahead and begin the meeting with an opening ceremony and pledge of allegiance. We've asked Councilman Shakespeare to lead us in that. Would everyone please rise and salute the flag?
Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, as we gather as a city this evening, we give thanks for many blessings, for this area in which we live, and for the beauties around us. We're grateful, Father, for those who've come before and sacrificed so much to give what we have today. We're grateful for our military and our police and those that protect us and keep us safe. We're grateful for the love we share here and ask a blessing upon this meeting, that thy spirit might abound and that the topics discussed may be done so in peace, and that the meeting might go well for all, and the spirits might abound. And we say these things humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ben. Council, with your permission, I would like to jump down to item 4C1. The election canvass. Melanie Applenapp is here, the Washington County election clerk. She has to be in Washington City, and so we appreciate her being here to do the election canvass, and we'll move her up and take care of that first. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you. It's good to be here again. It's kind of interesting. We of course are your election vendor for your municipal election cycle. And so the county administered 15 separate elections this time. So you're one of 15, but we're grateful to be able to assist you in your elections, because of course that's kind of what we do on our part. So we're really glad that we were able to assist you. Now, hopefully you should have two documents in front of you. One of them should be a canvass report. Okay, and I guess we'll go ahead and start here since this is the first one up. Now, it's broken down into some columns, and the first column is basically a summary of the ballots that we actually counted, and of course, how many registered voters that you have. So right here in Santa Clara, you guys have 4,503 active registered voters. And as you can tell, we actually counted 3 times for you. So we have the unofficial election night results where we counted 1,311 votes. And then Susan Lewis, our new clerk auditor, took out the whip, got us going the next day. And we counted another 1,568, ballots, so another 257 votes. And then of course, our final total was just the other day, because there are some deadlines for counting ballots. Of course, they have to be postmarked November 1st or before, or there are some people who we've reached out to. Maybe they've got a deficiency in their ballot. Maybe it came back not signed, or maybe we couldn't match signatures. So there's a time period where we reach out to those voters, and there is a deadline for that cutoff, and it's the 5 p.m. the day before your canvass. So that was yesterday. So your official election results, we ended up counting 1,579 ballots, and you have a 35.07% turnout. So not horribly bad turnout for a municipal election, but still reasonable. Now, however, you did have a higher turnout in the last election in 2019. You guys were actually at 42%. So there was just a little bit of a decrease, not quite certain why. Now, the next where it says the summary right there. So in our possession in the county, we have 1,579 ballots we counted for you, but we also have 167 ballots that we could not count for you. And if you drop down here to the lower reasons why, we have 4 ballots that were returned to our office after the deadline. So they do have to be postmarked November 1st. So there are 4 ballots that were returned by residents that were postmarked the 2nd or later. We also have 123 ballots here that were returned to our office as undeliverable. Unfortunately, that does happen. What's nice is the county does take these undeliverable ballots and we do voter list maintenance, so they will not be on your rolls later on. So it helps us clean things up. And now there were 40 ballots that could not be cured. So these are people whose ballots came back that had a deficiency. Maybe they didn't sign their envelope, or their signature was on there, but it did not match what we had on file. Well, by law, we've got 24 hours to reach out to those voters. We call them, we email them, or we send them a letter. And so 40 residents did not respond to that outreach, which is kind of sad. So as in total, there was 167 that we could not count. But on a good note, you did have 3 provisional ballots here in your office here, and we were able to count all 3. And of course, since you had in-person voting, you had 49 residents of Santa Clara take advantage of your voting location here, which is very nice of you to do that. All right, so we're going to go down to the next page. All right, so this is where the fun begins. This is, now you get to see how dyslexic I can be. All right, well, Mayor Rosenberg, I think you're going to be mayor one more time. What's kind of interesting now, if you notice here, it says undervotes. So there were 149 residents who did not select mayor. So it's kind of interesting. So it's kind of that totals there. Now, of course, you, Mayor Rosenberg had 1,430 votes. And then for the council race, of course, the top 2 will, of course, become council members. But Jimmy Keston had 562 votes. Ben Shakespeare had 978 votes. And Krista Hinton had 1,272 votes. So the top 2, of course, will be council. So congratulations to Ben and to Krista. Now, if you notice here, we do track overvotes. There was nobody who voted for 3 or more. So that's always good to have that a nice fat 0. And there were 346 residents that either voted for 1 council member or none. So of course that it's up to the contest totals on that one as well. And that's pretty much my spiel. Are there any questions?
Questions, council? No questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys.
We need to take any action or approve it or anything?
Yes. A motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Okay. And
I would move that we approve the election results as presented from the canvassing and congratulate Krista.
Second.
got a motion by Denny and a second by Wendell.
And
Any-
Ben.
And he's going to amend the motion to include Ben. Don't be left out. You amend your second?
Yes.
Yes. After much deliberation. Council, I have a motion and a second. Any question on that motion to approve the election canvas? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Canvas is approved. Thank you, Melanie. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hustle over to Washington and give them all our love. Okay, let's go back to the start of the agenda, council. Any conflicts or disclosures with the meeting tonight that anyone needs to report before we begin? Okay, if there's no conflicts of interest, then we'll go ahead and move into the consent or the working agenda. We do have a public hearing scheduled at 5 p.m. This is a public hearing to receive public input regarding power rate increase. Gary, would you like to, or Brock, someone going to go through the proposed increase for the benefit of the residents in the hall?
Do we want to pull that up, Brock, the Exhibit A? This is Exhibit A. This is what the Utility Financial Services has recommended for our rate increase of a 2.5% increase over the next 3 years for residential. Small commercial, 3.5% for the next 3 years. Same with medium commercial, and large commercial was 1.8%. There's also an increase on small, medium, and large commercial, the base rate, which is the monthly facility charge. And then there's also the demand increase for those. You'll notice on the medium and large commercial, the cents per kilowatt actually goes down over the next 3 years, but the demand charge goes up and the monthly charge goes up. That's just for large commercial. If they're in their load factor, if they have a higher load factor, it protects them from being charged a lot for their power. It gets made up on their demand charge, not in the hourly rate. Any questions from council?
Council, any questions for Gary before we open the public hearing? Brock, anything to add?
Just maybe add that through Utility Financial Services that the average cost to a resident was just over $3 would be the increase, would just be over $3 a month would be the average increase.
That figure was hard. It was hard to figure that with the commercial, not knowing demand, the demand charge. It's hard to kind of get an estimate what that would look like for the commercial side. But residential, yeah, was about $3.30 for an average usage home in Santa Clara.
And Gary, with these rate increases, do you feel like this will keep the utility in a strong financial position going forward?
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at what we went through this year with the high prices, and this will definitely help.
And that rate increase, just to clarify, is 2.5% or $3.30, an average of $3.30 a month per year. That's gonna increase every year for 3 years, and then we'll reevaluate.
Yeah, and then we'll do the reevaluation after the 3 years.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess we could note too for citizens, the average kilowatt per hour, I think is 1,229, 1,230.
Yes, 1230 was the average.
So they could go home and look at their utility bills and see where they fall for that $3.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no other questions. Thank you, Gary. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing and ask anyone who has come to address this issue, give you the opportunity to come to the microphone and state your name and your address for me, please. Anyone here to speak on this public hearing? Is that a going once? There's a match in the... I was just gonna have them open the door and get the mud pit. We'd get you guys going here.
Tina Taylor, and what else you want? Address?
Address.
2233 Pearl Rose. And it's not so much the $3 sounds so minimal. It's the fact that it's going up again. And it seems like the last time we talked about this, it was, it won't go up again. And that it's because you have less power outages, but not really compared to other people. And is there any way of changing to Dixie Power, or I don't understand this. I don't understand why we pay. I mean, we've looked at lots all over, and we've been here 20 years, and we pay way more than anybody else. And so I don't understand it. I don't understand why Santa Clara is so much more expensive.
You know how much more it is? Like kilowatt hour?
I don't. I just comparing prices.
We could share that. It's probably Dixie Power, if you've looked at what they've gone up and they're going up.
They're going up?
They've gone up a lot in the last 3 years. And they're continuing to go up because they're losing all their coal. That's the problem. we're losing I mean, if people want to know, if you want to start arguing, we're losing coal, we're losing natural gas and power.
Right. Well, we've had
That's-
a
I
very
just-
bad year, haven't we?
Yeah, but
Bad
it hasn't
government
been
year.
just this year, but I think, but I would recommend you go look. We've got all those rates. I think
I would like to
Math is-
see a comparison, like to see where they're all at now, because I mean, I just wish I would have got a lot 2 blocks over.
Yeah, there's a device that we're developing here that you'll be able to go online on the city website. And once this is passed as go live, that you'll be able to go and you can drag across what your kilowatt usage is, and it will be able to show you what you pay in Santa Clara, what your cost would be in Ivans, on Rocky Mountain Power, which has a winter and summer rate, St. George. So to Washington, Hurricane exactly, and then to Dixie Power, you'll see the difference in cost.
Okay. And the other thing is like, I don't get any emails from when these meetings are. Is there a way to get on to get some information? I mean, I learned 10 minutes before it happened.
Yeah, if you can sign up, just contact the town hall and then give you the link to sign up where you receive all the public hearings, but you could also receive the city newsletter. We just need to have your email on file here at the office.
Okay. Might as well.
But there's, I mean, a couple of reasons. Every power company is different. They have been developed differently and some are older and newer. They've had long-term contracts in with some of the cheaper power rates. And then as communities grow, you have to keep obtaining resource. So we're constantly buying power to provide residents of the city. And we have some of our older contracts that go away. It may be a 20-year contract like at San Juan. We're going to lose San Juan when?
2022,
And
2023.
we've been in there for quite a while. So the city is constantly looking for power resource to be able to wholesale power that we turn around and sell to the residents. Depending on how long you've been in the business and what you have as far as your resource portfolio, Dixie Power is 100% coal. It comes out of a power plant up by Vernal. And so 100% of their resources is coal fired. Santa Clara has diversified our portfolio a little bit based on what's happening with coal. We recognize that it's going to be phased out over time. And so we've diversified that. We have some coal, we have some natural gas, we have our own generation here in the city. We have some wind, we have
Solar.
we have geothermal. I mean, there's a bunch of different resources, and based on what we're paying for those resources, we blend that rate, and that's what we charge the residents. We haven't raised power rates for 2 years.
It's 2018.
Yeah.
So 3 years now, we haven't raised rates. And what typically happens during that time, if you don't have small annual increases to keep up with the increase in cost of power, you see your revenues and your reserve funds tend to drop and dip. And we're obligated by our lenders who we borrow money from to put in those improvements to maintain our reserves at a certain level. If those reserves drop below that level, then we break our bond covenants, and the city's bond rating, it's just like you if you went into default on your house. And so we're obligated to keep up with the rising cost of power. The only way we can do that is to increase the rates to the residents. So we'd all wish we were on, I'd rather even be on Colorado River Storage Power. It's even less than Dixie Power.
Yeah, well,
But we
let's do
can't get
that.
any of that.
That.
And with the flows in Lake Powell, everybody that has that crisp power, they're going to lose maybe 40% this summer because they won't be able to generate. So you're seeing a lot of factors going into your power. Power is one of the,
Maybe too much building.
well, not necessarily that, but each individual user, if you look at your rate, how much power you've used just in your home without any new homes, you're using more power today than you were using yesterday. And it's just what we're seeing is the same number of homes are using more power, more electronics in the homes, more things being charged, more things like that. And it's resulting in some increased consumption. So we have to go buy that resource to make up for that. So,
Anything else?
oh yeah, make them come up
Okay.
here now.
I was just going to say if there's something they want me to say, but they can come up on their own. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, while we're switching, I could save everybody a call to the city office and just let you know that if you want to sign up for alerts for the public meetings, you just have to look on Google, search for Utah Public Notice, and it'll take you to a website where you can sign up for Santa Clara City Council or any other public entities that have public meetings. You can sign up on there, put your email address, and you'll get updates for every notice that's posted. So it's Utah Public Notice. And if you search Utah Public Notice in Google, it's the first thing that comes up at the top. So.
And they'll send you the agenda every week.
Yep.
Just comes by email.
Okay, who's next?
Hi, I'm Wendy Thomas, 740 Morning Glory in Santa Clara. My question is, I'm concerned more about the commercial aspect. I am concerned residential, but what is this going to do with businesses that are trying to come in? I know that's in my line of work, I get asked that, and they do compare. And so do we not want the businesses and the larger businesses in Santa Clara?
Gary? Oh, I think your question, do we want the business? Yeah, we want the business. If you hold the businesses flat, though, your residential increase is going to have to be higher to absorb that additional cost. So just kind of be aware of that. But Gary, talk about the commercial.
Yeah, like up on the screen there, just take medium commercial for example, the percent, the dollar amount is like for 2022 is 06601. The next year it'll actually go down to 06546. So the 3.5% increase doesn't take effect on the hourly rate. It's the demand that will actually go up, and that all depends on how much power that business uses when it peaks. It's called the peak demand, and that's how that bill gets figured. And then the monthly charge is also going to go up that $10 each year for the next 3 years. So they won't get hit as hard as on their dollar usage. It's the demand and the monthly facility charge.
So are these fees raised? I'm naive. Only because of what you guys are being charged to purchase it, meaning Santa Clara?
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on the power rate increase? Come on up.
Chris Nelson, 1987 Red Creek Drive. I just wanted to share, obviously none of us like rate increases, but we lived in a city before Santa Clara that as a city decided to not raise rates for a long period of time. And a lot of people thought that was great. And then after 15 years, they realized that they should have not done that. And so I appreciate seeing these numbers. They're not big numbers, but I would rather it be in small incremental pieces like you're doing, rather than it be a huge rate increase to try and make up for lost ground. So as much as nobody likes it, I appreciate doing it a little bit at a time to keep up with demand. Obviously, inflation's affecting every aspect of our economy. And so I think this is necessary and needed.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Last chance. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And council, if you would, I'd like to go down to item number 4 and consider approval of the power rate increase and approve resolution 2021-10. Council, you've heard the recommendations from the staff. We've talked about this in work meetings several times. You've had the opportunity for public comment. Any discussion on this item?
Mayor, I just may add that I don't think there's anybody on this council that feels opposite of the residents. We all share the same sentiment that we've looked at this for a long time. We've debated, do we just do it annually at a lower rate and just keep it? The reality is the cost to buy power is up, and every city's going to be facing this. I mean, it's across the board, but we're, our staff, we run very, I think 4 guys on the power side, and we run a very efficient power grid. And again, we've done everything, I think, feasibly, and we've looked at it. So it's not something we're up here, fist pumping to raise this 2.5% over the next 3 years every year, but something that is needed. We felt it was the best for the community and really the best way to do it. And we'll evaluate it again in 3 years and see where we are. We've been proactive in trying to secure good power and affordable power and consistent power. And that's probably the biggest thing is we'll see spikes of be like going to buy a loaf of bread and one day it's $1 and the next day it's $100. I mean, that's really what the spikes are in buying power. And I think the staff has done a really good job in where we're to. It's a reality where we are. And I think, we've taken a good hard look at it and spent a lot of time, and it's certainly needed.
Any other comments, council?
Agree with Ben.
Okay, if there's no other comments, I'd go ahead and look for a motion.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-13R. Oh, excuse me, wrong one. Resolution 2021-10, improving and raising the power rate as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Denny and a second by Ben to approve the power rate increase and approve resolution 2021-10. Any question on that motion, council? No questions. This is a roll call vote. Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Gary. Okay, let's go back to, and thank you, the residents. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sharing your opinions. Item number C2 is consider approval of the UAMPS risk management policy. Mr. Hall, you're up again. Oh, yeah, I do.
This is a policy from UAMPS, and that all it is just to allow, see on the second page, it allows myself, Eric Campbell, Brock Jacobson, and Christelle Hill access to and get on the PX, which is the power exchange for UAMPS, and purchase power for the city needs. There's also an attached one. The attached was from Jack Taylor's the years before, and we just left the amount. Was it for $200,000? The transaction amount we are allowed to do, and for 6 months. So we're just going to stick with that. But that's just all. I just like to say this allows us to get on the PX and purchase power and sell if we want to sell the power generated from our internal generation.
Any questions for Gary, council?
I have one. In the risk management policy section, after we note the representatives, the amount and the time period, it notes that the representatives shall report not less than frequently than monthly to the city council with respect to all risk management transactions.
I don't know if that's ever been done in the past.
Yeah, as long as I've been here, we've never done that. So I'm wondering if there was a change made or if that's something we should be doing.
You know?
No, we can, if council, we can follow through with that and bring back each month our transactions and present them to you. I'm sure through UAMPS, we can get a printout of all of our transactions and present them to council to show the power that we purchased or sold.
it might be a little burdensome, but giving the comments from our citizens and the power increases that we're looking at, it might be worth it for us to be able to see that more frequently.
Okay. Any other questions, council, comments?
I was wondering, Gary, can you define what a risk management transaction is?
I'm not exactly sure what the risk management part of it means, but it's actually just so if we see that we're short on power, we can go on the power exchange and purchase power from maybe another utility that might be selling power cheaper than UAMPS is selling it. That's what it's the power exchange. We exchange it with other utilities. So that's pretty much our risk management. So we're not going into the pool for that. So that's probably the risk part, is going to the pool instead of going through another utility or having.
It lets us sell power too, where during the shoulder months, if we're running the generators and we see the price on the exchange is better than it costs us to generate that power, we can actually run the generators and sell it to the exchange and make some revenue back. So it can go both ways.
Yeah, so I'm saying you wouldn't have to report all your power purchases, just the ones that are classified as risk management, right?
Yeah.
May still be a lot, I'm not sure, but it seems like that wouldn't be as many.
Yeah. We actually had the last several years, Jack, really, I don't think he really got on the PX and did transactions very much because power prices have been fairly cheap. But just this last couple of years where power prices have been going up, that's when we've started going on the PX more and purchasing power. So yeah, it's when it gets that high, we can definitely do reports and keep you informed of what the market's doing.
Any other questions, council? If not, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the UAMPS risk management policy as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Lena and a second by Jarrett to approve the UAMPS risk management policy as presented. Any question on that motion? Let's see, this is a money item. Roll call. Wendell?
Aye.
Benny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, council. Council, Denny reminded me I didn't finish the consent agenda. Under 4B on the consent agenda, we have the approval of the claims and minutes, the October 27th regular city council meeting minutes, and the executive session, the November 3rd city council, and the claims for November 10th. Also, the calendar events you can see there. We canceled the regular city council meeting on November 24th, or night before Thanksgiving. And the work meeting is scheduled for December 1st. So can I get any question on the consent agenda? Any question on the approval of the claims or minutes? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'll make that motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Ben and a second by Lena to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any question on that motion, council? Again, money item in there. All in favor? Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, council. Okay, item C3, consider approval of a mutual aid agreement between electrical utilities presented by Mr. Hall. Again,
This is just a mutual aid agreement between Rocky Mountain Power and members of UAMPS for any assistance for power outages, for natural disasters or emergencies. And that Matt Entz has looked through this and he doesn't see any conflicts or anything with this agreement. So I'm just looking for approval to join the mutual aid with Rocky Mountain Power.
we've already got mutual aid with the other neighboring cities, right? We just didn't have one with Rocky Mountain.
Yes. Yeah. With the other cities, it's through the IPSA, which is the Intermountain Power Superintendents Association. So we've got an agreement with them. That includes all the IPSA members, not just the local Washington County ones, but this one is with Rocky Mountain Power as well.
Okay. Questions, council?
It allows us to utilize any of the entities that are participating in it too, right?
Yes.
Dixie Power and some of
Yes.
those that are here. Okay.
Yep.
So if we have a problem and, lose a significant portion of the line, they'll come to our aid. We do the same for them.
Yeah.
This was kind of really important during COVID, where we have such a small crew.
Yeah.
If our crew one member of the crew would have picked up COVID, it could have shut the whole crew down. We'd been going to our neighbors to help us make it through till they got out of quarantine and came back to work. So it's kind of an important thing. So
Yes.
questions, council? If no questions, then I would look for a motion to approve the mutual aid agreement between the electrical utilities.
I would make that motion that we approve the mutual aid agreement between Rocky Mountain Power and the other utilities.
Second.
A motion by Denny and a second by Wendell. Any question on that motion, council? I'm going to do roll call just in case. All in favor, Wendell?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Thank you, council. That's approved.
Mayor, can I
Thanks, Mayor.
Can I just ask Gary one thing before we move on? Gary, the copy that you sent to me for review is a blank form, and it doesn't actually have Santa Clara City listed as one of the signers there. So I assume that would just need to be filled in before the mayor signs.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, let's also get a copy of the agreement with all the other signers to it. So if it's with Rocky Mountain Power, let's make sure we have a copy with their signature and any of the other signatures that would apply, just so we have a copy on file.
Yes, it'll do that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor and Council.
Thanks, Gary. Item number 5, consider approving a fiber communication service and acquisition contract with UIA and approve resolution 2021-13R. Jarrett?
Hey, thank you, Mayor. So I have a description I'll go through, and we can certainly answer any questions or anything like that. So the item before us tonight is to approve an agreement with the Utah Infrastructure Agency, which will signify with UIA, and authorize them to bond for and install an open access fiber network within our city limits. We've been working on this in earnest since June of this year, though technically this goes back over 5 years when I first attended a presentation at the League of Cities and Towns detailing how this would work with UIA's model. So as per what UIA has provided us, the bond will be approximately $6.7 million with its 27-year term. There are no payments due for the first 2 years, giving UIA sufficient time to build out the network and generate a user base. Subscribers to the service will pay $30 a month to UIA to cover that debt service, and an additional $35 to $55 to their chosen internet service provider, depending on their internet speed they've chosen. Any residents that do not want to use the fiber will not be responsible for any part of the debt, and no city funds will be used in the construction of this system. The annual revenue requirement is expected not to exceed $408,000 annually, and the city's responsibility in this transaction is to just backstop that amount. And we will do that through $205,000 of our franchise tax revenues and $203,000 of our sales tax revenues. UIA has stated that we will need approximately 38% of the residents in Santa Clara to sign up for service. As a reference, all the cities that have partnered with UIA up to this point have exceeded their needed take rate before the first payment was due on the bond, and UIA considers this project as low risk. If at any point revenues do not cover the bond payment and Santa Clara has to pay any part of it, that amount is recorded as a loan to UIA from the city, and the city will be paid back once revenues reach a sufficient level, or at worst, once the bond is retired. UIA guarantees that 90% of our residences will have fiber service within 2 years, though they expect the installation to go much quicker, more in the 8 to 10 month range, with the clock starting early next year. The city will not be involved in billing, maintenance, or customer service. UIA handles everything, including approving and managing the internet service providers that choose to offer their services on the network. UIA has confirmed with us that we'll have at least 5 companies to sign on initially, with a high likelihood that 15 or more will eventually offer their services. It's important to note there are no contracts, installation fees, or teaser rates with UIA. In June of this year, U.S. Representative John Curtis wrote an editorial outlining why cities should stay out of the fiber business. I think it's really important that we do cover this in our meeting. In that article, he shared the struggles that his city, Provo, had with building and maintaining its own fiber network, and the eventual sale of that network to Google Fiber for a whopping $1. TDS has also publicly stated that they have observed many municipally owned fiber networks fail, And I definitely don't want to dispute that. It is very important though to recognize that what we are proposing to approve tonight is a very different arrangement than those projects that failed. There's a long track record demonstrating how UIA's model is sustainable and actually thrives as time goes on. It should also be noted that over the last several months, we met with TDS and CenturyLink and communicated with InfoWest, the main internet service providers in Santa Clara. Our main goal in having those meetings was to determine if they had plans to improve services in Santa Clara and if it would be equal or better to what UIA had proposed to us. I certainly want to acknowledge the investment these ISPs have put into our area, especially the effort they put into keeping our residents connected during the pandemic. We came away from those meetings with a clear understanding that fiber to the home in Santa Clara may eventually be economically viable for one of those companies, but no clear timeline could be established, and it felt like a very long timeline was actually a reasonable expectation. Our residents have clearly stated that they want this now. Another takeaway was that certain parts of the city may be too costly for these companies to install fiber, such as very rocky ground. This could actually create an inherent inequality in our city. And finally, and probably most importantly, everyone in Santa Clara should greatly benefit from this project, whether they use the fiber or not. This is because the increased competition will naturally drive all of the ISPs to offer better prices, speeds, services, etc. That's what this all truly comes down to, providing the residents of Santa Clara with many options for fast internet at a fair price and excellent service level. And I just want to share with the council, I really appreciate all the work that's gone into this. It's been a lot of meetings, a lot of work. And I certainly would, at this point, I do want to note we have Josh Chandler with us. He's legal counsel for UIA. If there's any questions, any concerns, I certainly we want to address those. But we have talked about this in quite a few meetings up at this point, and that's what I have to present.
Thank you, Jarrett. Council, any questions for Jarrett? Matt, you've reviewed the agreement.
Yes, I've reviewed the agreement and the resolution, and it all appears to be consistent with what's been represented to the council as far as what the project would be. So I have no issues with it.
Okay. Any questions for UIA's representative? Well, we've got him here.
I have a question. Maybe I missed this. If we approve this tonight, when will they start?
So in our last work meeting, Laura Lewis shared that the bonding would take about 2.5 months. But they said they would order the materials as soon as we approve the resolution. So we'd be looking at early next spring that they would start. So it's possible we'd have it all done by the end of the year. They guarantee 2 years, but are expecting to go much quicker.
Okay. Good.
Sure. Just because I feel like I owe you.
Actually, I've got 2 comments. This is Charlie Walker, 3625 Rachel Drive. Older closure. I recently retired from CenturyLink. First, I got one question for you. Can you guys change your screens around in the audience? We can't see you. It's like you're all hiding from us. I'm probably not the first one to say that.
That's what we're doing.
Well, for good reason. I'd urge you to, I know you put a lot of work into this utopia thing, but I'd urge you to vote against it. You've already got 5 or 6 options plus satellite. You've got the businesses in town do have fiber to their businesses. These complexes, the one out at Harmon's, that area, they do have fiber. I personally think that the service has been oversold. I don't think it's the right of the city council to pick winners and choosers, or winners and losers. Yeah, wow. I lost it now, but that's my only thoughts, is that I don't think it's up to you to pick a winner and loser. There is competition in the area. If you're bonding for the money, even if I don't sign up for their service, maybe living in the city, I'm still responsible for that bond that you're going to sign off on. Your first clue there should be that you've talked to 2 companies that have said it's not profitable. I think in my experience, most of the problems is not in the size of the pipe that comes into the house, it's in the house itself. And the residential guys, the people don't want to change things in their house. With a little bit of knowledge, you can network your house and your service that you have now can be greatly improved. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, he's opened Pandora's box. Charlie and I go way back, and so I do feel like I owe him. So consider that debt paid, Charlie. I'm going to go ahead and allow if there's any other public comment that they'd like to make. I do have a couple of rules. You're limited 3 minutes max. And if you go over 3 minutes, everybody behind you is done. Okay, it's up to you to time it. So you got 3 minutes. If you duplicate what the guy in front of you said, it's going to come off your 3 minutes. So we expect you to, you can say, I concur with what's been presented, or you can present new information after we're started. I need you to state your name. I need you to state your address. And if you have an affiliation with a provider or someone, I know that we got some of those here. I need you to state that too as part of it before we go. Okay, is there anybody else that'd like to speak on this issue? Come on up.
Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kelly Nyberg. I'm the President and CEO of InfoWest. I'll make this short. InfoWest is a local internet provider. We've been providing internet to Santa Clara City and its residents for about 30 years now. Over the past decade or two, we've built a fantastic relationship with the city. We also provide internet to Santa Clara City offices right here. We do free public Wi-Fi at Goober Park and actually all the parks in Santa Clara City, and we're proud to do that. We also provide internet to hundreds of homes and businesses in the city as well. So needless to say, InfoWest is your hometown internet provider. So when I was asked about Utopia and how it might impact InfoWest, I thought of an analogy. You know Fry's Fruit Market? Like InfoWest, they're the local company and been around forever. They have some of the best fruit in the area. They might not be the biggest, they might not have the largest selection, but they do a fantastic job and people love them. What if the city decided one day that Fry's Fruit Market wasn't good enough? They needed to bring in a bigger, better fruit market, the Utopia Fruit Market. They would have bigger, better fruit, better selection of fruit, and probably sweeter fruit. Well, maybe not sweeter fruit because we know their fruit's the sweetest. Anyway, how would that impact Fry's Fruit Market? Now, I think Fry's Fruit Market would be glad to compete against any other fruit market in town, but I think the problem comes up when the city decides to back the new Utopia Fruit Market and co-sign financially for the new fruit market. By doing this, it forces the city to support the Utopia Fruit Market and pits the city against Fry's Fruit Market. The city is no longer in a position to support a local company and its success. In fact, it's in the best interest of the city to see Fry's Fruit Market fail, even though they've been there for years, have worked hard and invested their own money to make it their business better. In my opinion, the ideal scenario would be to have the city get with Fry's Fruit Market, identify areas where they could do better, and work together to make it happen. At this point, I think InfoWest would simply like to urge those who represent the citizens of the area to carefully consider the long-term future market ramifications of this really important decision. Maybe now would be a good time to step back, talk to your local providers like InfoWest, find out areas of need and improvement and come up with a solution that allows for more competition, more choice, better speeds, and lower prices. InfoWest has invested in Santa Clara City, and we have done it for decades. And if given the chance, we would love to be involved in that process. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly.
Hello, I'm Brenda Cody. I'm with TDS Telecommunications. We are their local internet, voice, and video provider. So before you vote tonight, I just want to reiterate a few items on behalf of TDS. TDS can offer all customers in Santa Clara 1 gig service today. In Santa Clara, less than 8% of our customers are taking that 1 gig product. So less than 8% are looking for a higher product. So only 8% take rate on our gig. Currently, our 300 meg product starts at $30. And from my understanding, Utopia customers will have to pay $30 a month to Utopia, plus have to pay the actual provider an additional sum, which starts at an additional $35+ dollars. So I feel like the pricing, even at our retail rates, we're going to be really competitive with the pricing rates that they're quoting. So in all new development, has been fiber for several years now. TDS has been putting fiber in the ground for many years. TDS is committed to all new residential and commercial developments will also be fiber. We've mentioned it before, if you're willing to partner with us, we remain committed that we could overbuild the entire community quicker with much less disruption at a lower price tag than they are quoting. TDS is here. We are here. We give back to the community. We have close to 100 local employees. We aim to be great community partners. We've invested over $100 million since we took over the system in our local infrastructure, and we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in the local community. We have been in the telecommunications business for over 50 years. We have a vast knowledge of the industry, and we will compete fiercely. We believe it's in the city's best interest to vote no tonight, or at least postpone the vote for a later date so crucial conversations can be had and to really evaluate the risk that is imposed on the city. So 38% penetration, I feel like that's hard pressed to reach that when we have the competitors you have in this market. As we had mentioned previously in InfoWest, we would, if you guys believe that people are not getting great service, places are underperforming, we want to know. We want to sit down and fix those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. I appreciate your comments and the way they were presented. Everybody stayed under time. That rarely happens, so thank you. Okay, council. I'll bring it back to council. Any further discussion on this? Any questions? You do have some other providers in the audience. The UIA rep is here. Anybody have a question or comment?
I can respond to some of those statements if you'd like, because we really have thought through this and worked a lot on this, and we certainly don't take this decision lightly. I do want to start with Charlie, who's my neighbor. I do want to clarify, we're not taking out the bond. We're just backstopping the bond. The UIA will have that debt. And so we can still spend that money. It'd still be in our budget. We just can't borrow against that money going forward until the bond is done. So it is a pretty important distinction. And our goal truly is not to choose winners or losers. We're actually increasing competition in the area. It certainly can be viewed that this will be difficult for the companies that have had a monopoly in the area or a duopoly. But I just have to share, we've heard from countless residents, and this goes clear back to when I was campaigning 6 years ago, but this was one of the issues that came up over and over was people struggle with internet in Santa Clara. And Kelly, I certainly appreciate your input as well. And we're very pleased with the support we've had from your company over the years, and we hope that you'll thrive as time goes on with this system if we approve it tonight. The analogy of the fruit market, I think, has validity. I think just the main difference that I would take with that is that we don't own the system, we don't maintain it. There's certainly an incentive there to make sure the payment's covered, so we don't have to worry about that. But that's about as far as it goes. And beyond that, UIA has to worry. And even if there's cost overruns, and all the new growth that occurs, that's all on UIA's dime. And that's kind of the big advantage of doing this. We're not relying on one company. We're not relying on one private investor. This is a consortium of cities that have come together, figure out a model that works, and we can all band together and basically use those resources together to make it work so much better. And as for Brenda, again, Brenda's a good friend. I'm gonna have some frenemies, I think, after this meeting. Either way, probably. But I do want to point out that I'm a TDS customer. I think several council members are. And I think one of the biggest concerns is, yes, the rate does start at $30, but what's the actual rate? You know, once that teaser rate goes away, what is it? And my house is 65. So it's actually on par. And so we'd be offering, well, we wouldn't. The ISPs that come on this network would be offering 250 meg up and down for the same price as what is currently available in our area. Also, I think it's really important to know that I appreciate that TDS is putting in fiber in those new developments. I think Santa Clara is a little bit unique in that our new development is almost done. You know, there's other cities in southern Utah that have a lot of open space where they're going to get a lot of fiber over time. We have a few small parcels left, and then we're going to be a build out. And so the specter of us having more fiber in Santa Clara really is limited because of that. And it's just so expensive for an overbuild, and it takes a bond that's 25 years to stretch out that payment to make it work. And asking any company to take on that kind of a risk, I don't see that as even being possible. And on the point of like partnering with TDS and potentially doing this for less, that I feel like that would be picking winners and losers. That would be the city saying TDS is going to be your internet provider and we're going to partner up and make this work. I think this truly has to be something that's open and available to any internet service provider to come and offer service to our residents. But I do want to say I certainly appreciate everything that's been presented. This isn't taken lightly. I think that's all that I have, Mayor, on that.
Thanks, Jared. Council? Anyone else?
I would just reiterate that the agenda tonight has items, this one included, that we've been talking about for months and various meetings and getting information back and asking for additional information. So it's been, like I said, it's been time consuming and I appreciate everybody from all parties. I mean, we want to do what's right in the long term for the residents of Santa Clara, for the businesses, for the schools, and yeah, this isn't something that's materialized overnight. And certainly, I appreciate everybody's input. I appreciate the emails we've got. I appreciate Jarrett's work on it and that as well, because we wouldn't be here without Jarrett, without the information we've got.
I have a comment also.
Wendell?
I have a son that is a computer programmer, and he's lived in 3 different areas in northern Utah. One was Orem, another was Centerville, another one, where's that currently is in Layton. He had Utopia in Orem, he has Utopia in Layton, did not have it in Centerville. And he just swears by Utopia. He says it's so much faster, and as a computer programmer, that's important. And we're finding more of our people are staying home and working out of their home. It's important for these people to have that speed and access. And I just think it's something we need to do.
Anyone else? Lena, Danny?
I guess I would just add, we have looked at this over and over throughout this last year and have talked to a lot of individuals. We have also had a number of citizens who have attended our meetings and voiced their concerns with their current service and resolutions that haven't been met and the need for something different. So I just want to make sure it's on record that we have really studied this. We have really listened to the citizens in our and the number of people who have come forward to say, hey, we need some help. So.
Okay.
And we've had our discussions openly as we've had public hearings dealing with it. We've had our work nights spent dealing with it. I think we've covered the costs so that the city is not at a great deal of risk, and that the support from UIA is really something that looks very advantageous to the future.
I guess we could also add that there's nothing that would prevent a current provider from joining that network either, because they could join that network and provide the same service. I know, Kelly, you're listed on there for up north. InfoWest is an option for people to go through. So there's nothing that would prevent that from happening either, under my understanding.
Okay, council. Anybody want to add anything else, or you're ready to take a shot at a motion?
I just have one, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So we had a good article written by St. George News. I want to thank Chris Reed for covering this. It certainly stirred things up, and we got lots of messages today, and I think it was good to really get the message out. But that post on their Facebook page currently has 225 likes, which is pretty good for an article on that. No downvotes. There are some people that don't quite understand how the system would work that have some negative comments, but overall it's been extremely positive. And I think that just echoes what I've heard from countless residents.
Okay. Well, anybody want to make a motion, council?
I can make that motion, Mayor. So I move that we approve the fiber communication service and acquisition contract with UIA and approve resolution 2021-13R as presented.
I second it.
I have a motion by Jarrett and a second by Wendell to approve the fiber communication service and acquisition contract with UIA and approve resolution 2021-13R.
Mayor, I'm sorry, we got a note from Chris that that numbering is actually incorrect. It's 14R just for the record.
So amend your motion to
I'll amend it to be
14R. Amend your second.
Yes.
So approve resolution 2021-14R. Any question on that motion? This is a money item, council. Van?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Ayes have it unanimously by my count. Thank you, council. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your good work in the area. Item number 6, this is a award a bid for the Hassel substation upgrade and the SCADA system to Eaton Corporation for the amount of $169,336. Gary, you've got an audience that stuck around just for this.
I know. We want to see where we're spending our money. We have some aging infrastructure. One of them is the Hassel substation. The communications in that substation is really old and outdated, and there's some of the parts we can't get anymore. That's why we're doing some of the upgrades to this substation. So if the communications failed, there's no parts to replace it. So we're going to do the upgrade to this substation to be able to communicate it with our SCADA system. And this proposal come in under our budgeted. We had budgeted this year $200,000 for the Hassel substation upgrade. But we're not going to do a full upgrade. We wanted to do a building and enclose these controls in a building, but we'll leave them out on the structures outside for now. And then with the purchase of the 2 new generators, we needed a new SCADA system. Our SCADA system is old and aged as well, and we don't have the support from the person that installed it anymore. He's retired. And so this proposal is for SCADA system and the Hassel substation upgrade. And it's came in quite a bit under budget, what we had budgeted for the substation only. So
Who's the bid to, Gary? Eaton Corporation?
Eaton Corporation, yes.
Okay.
They're the ones that did our AMI system. So.
All right. Questions, council?
How does that happen in a pandemic that something comes in under budget?
I know.
And I'll add to it on the SCADA system. This is not just on power, it also benefits on water. And this using the SCADA system with our water tanks and managing that. So.
And that means we'll still have our ARPA funds available to use for something different, like Vineyard, since we're not using them on the SCADA system, correct?
That'd be a decision council can make whether.
Dustin would like to add his PRV valves. Currently, they're not connected to the SCADA system, so we cannot monitor them from the SCADA system. But that's something we would like to add in the future too, so we can monitor those PRVs and do control on those as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we want those.
You do want
That's an
those?
important part.
Yeah.
So.
I think so.
Okay, council, if there's no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make that motion that we approve the bid for the Hassel substation upgrade and SCADA system to Eaton Corporation for the amount of $169,336.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Ben and a second by Jarrett to award the bid for the Hassel substation upgrade and SCADA system to Eaton Corporation in the amount of $169,336. Any question on that motion, council? This is a money item, council. Wendell?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
It's approved unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Council Mayor.
Thank you, Gary. Mayor and council reports, Ben?
Just a couple. We all attended the water summit yesterday. Just to follow up, and I'll be emailing you. I pulled all the hot water recirculation guidelines that are already, and I think that's what we need to push for. Those are already proven. The data's there. Anything within 43 feet of a 1/2 inch line, and half of that 21 feet on a 3/4 inch line. It's not a lot, but if you had in multifamily, that's where my concern, and I think my concern is if that goes across the board and now hot water circulation is required regardless, it's going to have a negative effect on multifamily, and there's no real value back. They've already done, this is the energy, they've already done the research on this to find the perfect distance. And so I'll send that out so we can all see that. And I think that's something that, and more importantly, it's already in the code. It's already something that's there that you're not going to have municipalities enforcing something that's not there. And that was, in speaking with different engineers, that's their biggest concern is, well, you've got the code here and then you've got something that supersedes or is different than that in how they design and things like that. So it's great. It's very well spelled out and explained. So I'll email that to you. And then I just was kind of going through numbers on turf. I don't know if when that's going to happen as far as square footages. I actually liked the idea of the percentage on a sliding scale saying, okay, and these are just numbers I think so. Kind of toyed around with, that you go from 0 to 8,000 square feet. Maybe that's the 18% that they're talking about. You go from 8 to 15, maybe that drops to 15%. Something up to an acre maybe drops down to 12. I do agree. I mean, we've got irrigation in the city, and so and there was some big concern on that. And I would kind of share that is, again, we want to conserve water and all of that, but I think to put those same restrictions on irrigation, there might want to be some language. And frankly, I don't think as a county, listening to some of those other some of those other towns and cities, that it would, if irrigation's included in the restrictions, that we're going to get something countywide. So I would probably at this say, let's attack the culinary source. Let's put something that we're comfortable with. This is all in new development. And then maybe it's something we can reevaluate as the irrigation and secondary system becomes more available throughout other cities and metering. And we've got, we meter ours, other cities do not. So it's, I can see the concerns, but I think the sooner we can get something back, I think the better. I think the rest of it was pretty good.
We've just follow up on that. We've requested the draft ordinance from the Water District. It's actually being developed by Washington County Attorney's Office. And so Matt's made some contacts there. We're trying to get a copy of it. I spoke to Zach Renstrom after the meeting last night and said, hey, give it to us and let us start filling in some of the blanks based on Santa Clara's need and our community. Kind of the one thing I gathered last night is that no one size fits all is going to probably work in the communities in Washington County based on the feedback that I heard last night. But let's go ahead and get ours going. We do have a pending ordinance in place. So any new development that has come in over the last 30 days and going forward has to meet this ordinance. It's important for us to get that ordinance done. It's not something we can kick down the road very long because of that pending ordinance. And so,
and I got a little nervous when the closing comment from another city was, well, let's see how it looks in March.
Yeah,
we need to, again, it's something I think across the board, commercial wise, I think we all recognize that. I did ask later, obviously we're talking golf courses, but certainly I think parks, I think schools, I think all of that needs to proactive, and I think a lot of it is, but proactively get on the secondary systems as we can.
Yep, I agree. So thank you. Anything else, Ben?
That's all I have.
Lena?
You bet. LPC, I don't meet till Friday and Monday, so I can't report on anything until our next meeting. And then I first want to thank Jarrett before I forget for all of his work that he did. He spent a lot of time on that prior discussion we had, and I just want to publicly thank him for all the work and effort. And then Heritage Commission, we did meet yesterday. We discussed a project that will be going to Planning Commission and then will come before council for a home down on Santa Clara Drive that is having some structural crumbling issues and they want to do some maintenance. So that will come to us. And in that meeting, it was noted, if you haven't had the opportunity to view this yet, the Merc was filmed in an episode on the Magnolia Network. The show is called In with the Old. It's on Disney Plus, and they are the first episode on the network. So if you haven't had a chance, go and watch it.
That's cool.
Mandy, I'd love to get any feedback from you that you have. And then my Summer Class Abend Committee met this afternoon.
Tell these guys what that is.
It's we are starting a new event in Santa Clara that will hopefully become an annual tradition. On December 6th in Switzerland every year, it is called the Night of Santa. That's when they actually celebrate Christmas. So in Santa Clara, we are going to have the Summer Class Abend on December 6th. We will be doing a large tree lighting across the street here. The mayor will be officially lighting our tree, which will hopefully light the whole city. And we will be having our Summer Class and his healthy sidekick come and visit with our kids. And we're going to have donuts and hot chocolate. The school's going to come and sing. It'll be a great evening. So any residents who want to come, December 6th, 6:30 to 7:30. We've finalized pretty much everything today. I want to thank Christelle and Gary and Brad. They are working hard with us, and the tree's trimmed, and I think we're ready to go.
Now, I wanted to ask Brad, if you cut a limb off the tree, you don't have to put lights on it, right? So just how much trimming was going on?
Did the lights?
There's still a lot of lights. It's going to be bright, I promise.
So question, when we discussed this before, we talked about 15-minute, half-hour project, and so everybody's going to be standing, nobody's sitting. You just talked about an hour, didn't you? 6:30 to 7:30?
We've allocated it from 6:30 to 7:30.
Okay.
We are having the tree lighting officially at 7.
7. So
At
we're all standing still. We're not sitting. We're
Correct.
not. Okay.
That is
Good.
correct.
Good.
If we start at 6:30, they'll be there by 7. And then they can go home at 7:30. That's
And it
how this
gives-
town works.
Yeah, and it gives the opportunity for the kids to visit with Santa. In Switzerland, he
Okay.
gives them a gift, and if he walks through the streets, and if you're not available, then he leaves them in some shoes and so.
My wife thinks I'm bah humbug anyway. So that's just a question.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
Jared?
I attended a community education channel meeting this week, and Commissioner Snow was there, which was really nice. We don't usually get our county representative there. And there was a very good discussion made about the future of the community education channel, primarily revolving around branding. There's been a real drop in cable subscriptions, which is about half the budget of the CEC. And so there's a discussion of, what will happen to that eventually. Will they take extra agreements, or we just have to plan on not having that funding? And so the plan was to potentially have a contest for what to name the station, and then get a new logo. And then I shared just some pretty plain numbers of what can happen with just a little bit of money spent on promotion. So right now, Melissa does a lot of really good work, a lot of good stories, but she'll get like 20 views on a video. So she was there in the meeting and just shared that it's kind of, sad to put all that work into it and only 20 people see it. And so hopefully we can just come out with, the problem is right now, no one knows what CEC is in the community, and it's been around since 1995. Had plenty of time to get some legs, and it just hasn't. And so it's time to rebrand and really find a way forward. I was a little worried going into that discussion, it'd be how can we wind this down? And there was no discussion of that at all. So I think all the cities there and the university feel like it has real value, and it's just kind of figuring out that path forward. But it looks like it'll involve a lot of streaming, and maybe it won't even be a cable access channel at some point, who knows? So, and then I just certainly wanted to thank everyone for their help with the fiber discussion, especially want to thank Brock. He's worked really hard on this as well. And I really think that one of the turning points in helping us understand this process was when we were up the League of Towns, and he brought those other cities in front of us to tell us how it happened in their city. And so I really appreciate the legwork he did on that. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Denny?
Nothing.
Wendell?
I got lots.
Oh, hey, I'm ready.
But Ben took half of my time. I received from Lowry Snow a communication about, remember I said I do not like mandates? Well, he sent me some information on mandates. Apparently the state of Utah is going to be suing the federal government along with 19 other states to not have this vaccine mandate that we've talked about. And there's some information here I want to share with everybody that Lowry sent to me. He appreciated our conversations that we had. He and Don Ipson both appreciated being here, and he wasn't here, but he was here in spirit. He was up there on the wall. Anyway, here's that information. I attended Washington County Solid Waste District Monday, and this is the packet. They had it all on video, and they said, well, you can access that online through your email. And I said, well, I'm a dinosaur. Can you just give me one? So they gave me one. So I want to pass this on to whoever is going to take my place. It's really good information about what's going on in the district. And so if you could pass that on to
First of the year, we'll go through that annual meeting where we fight about who gets to be on the solid waste and mosquito abatement and all those fun jobs.
I don't remember fighting. I remember.
Krista, get excited now.
Oh, Krista's got mosquito abatement written all
Stake
over
your turf right now.
Right.
Jared ain't giving up mosquito abatement. He might give up CEC, but he ain't giving up mosquito abatement.
Anyway, a couple of things they discussed in that meeting that are important. They're talking about creating a new entrance, a new scale, because they haven't changed anything forever though out there. They have a big backlog of commercials coming in, and then you get a bunch of residents coming in, and just big backlog going up the hill basically. And so they're talking about redoing that. They've budgeted $5 million to do it. I don't know if it's going to take that long, but they tabled the discussion because they didn't have a lot of the financial details on it. So we'll have another discussion in December the 13th, if anybody wants to come to that. But it's important that it's done because we need it there. We need to help out the commercial people that are standing in line for a half hour or longer. So that's going to happen. One other thing they talked about was a cost of living adjustment, and decided to have a 6% cost of living adjustment and for their people. And that they figure that might even be low because of all the inflation that's going on. But those are the main points that were discussed. Their meeting took an hour and a half. Normally it only takes about a half hour, but this one took an hour and a half. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Mayor's Association met on the 2nd. We got our update from Dr. Blodgett and Dr. Ferguson on COVID. And you guys know the vaccinations now are available for kids. We've got fairly stable numbers right now. It's a little bit up and a little bit down. There's very, very low cases in the schools right now. The vaccine may not prevent cases, but it will prevent hospitalization, was kind of the bottom line from the health department. Dr. Ferguson at the hospital, they're still over capacity in the ICU. They've got capacity of 32 beds. Right now, they've got 45 to 50 beds being occupied daily over there. So they're still in their overflow area. They've been postponing surgeries, but things appear to be getting a little bit better that way. So they're still encouraging vaccinations. The message from Dr. Ferguson was get vaccinated. He's the one you're going to be looking up into his eyes if you ever make it to the ICU. And so that was his message to the group. Superintendent Bergeson confirmed the very low number of cases in the schools. They were really concerned about the vaccination mandate and possibly losing some staff with their teachers and bus drivers and those types of things that they had concerns on. Talked about the upcoming water summit, but that was most of it. And then I had I thought it was a very productive meeting today with the city staff and the irrigation company, Santa Clara Irrigation Company Board, talking about maybe some opportunities working together in the future as we incorporate the water conservation ordinance to be able to have the potential for some irrigation conversion from the private company to the city side. And there's some discussion we need to have going forward with them, but I thought today's meeting was helpful. They're getting us some information that we can have Matt and we can bring back to the council on regarding some of the questions we've had on the reuse line, availability of water from the reservoir, proposed reservoir, and those types of things. And so we've had that communication, and like I say, I thought it went well, and we'll have some additional conversation with them probably after the first year once we get those documents and meet with the water district again. But just reemphasize the water conservation ordinance is important. We've got some projects right now, some large projects that are on the table, and it'd be nice to have those requirements in place so that they can comply with those and know what they are. Really, with the pending ordinance, they can't really move forward because they don't really know what we're going to require of them yet. So I want to get them to them as soon as we can. But appreciate everybody's reports. I don't know if I've ever had this many people here at the end of the meeting before. But anyway, we're going to go into executive session, so we're going to have to throw all of you out. But we really appreciate you sticking around to the end. Like I say, I don't usually look up and see this many faces when I get to the end of the agenda. So thank you. We appreciate your